Welcome to World11 News Channel. Todd is saying goodbye to NBC News. The journalist who moderated Meet the Press for 9 years spanning 3 presidential administrations announced that Friday would be his last day at NBC. "I'm leaving a bit earlier than frankly we had all originally planned, but there's a reason for it," he said on his podcast, The Toddcast, Friday. "I'm pretty excited by a few new projects that are on the cusp of going from pie in the sky to near reality." Todd shared a similar message in a memo to his NBC co-workers per the New York Times. Todd said that although he'll take a hiatus from reporting, which he does not anticipate lasting longer than a month, he will continue his podcast on a new network. "I do plan to continue to share my reporting and my perspective and to cover politics the way I've been covering it with data, history, using that as important baselines and understanding where we were, where we are, and where we're going," he said. "I will let you know where I'll be planting my flag publicly very soon." Representatives for Todd declined to comment on the development. Todd became the political director at NBC News in 2007. On his podcast, he offered some perspective on the passage of time since his initial hiring. "It was a month before my son was born. He'll be graduating high school in a few months. So what it means is I've been here a while," he said. Todd became the network's chief White House correspondent alongside Savannah Guthrie in 2008, before ultimately becoming the host of Meet the Press in 2014. His challenges to the presidential administration sometimes drew ire from Donald Trump himself, who famously called the journalist a sleeping son of a bitch at a campaign rally. Todd remained at Meet the Press until 2023, when Kristen Welker took over the position. The journalist indicated that he's dissatisfied with the current state of national media. "The reason I am ready to move is that I think the media has a lot of work to do to win back the trust," he said on his podcast. "I'm a believer that national media is never always really that trusted by people. The farther away something is, the more skeptical we are of it. When it comes to local media, it's always been the case. People trust local media more than they trust national media." He continued, "It's the gutting of local media has gotten rid of what I believe are the folks who gave national media our credibility. And national media is not going to fix its credibility on its own. You're not going to fix credibility by gaming an algorithm with a headline just because you get to increase traffic. I mean, some of the tactics that I'm seeing right now in the national space, I understand it from a business perspective, but it is a terrible idea from a journalistic perspective." Todd called on his fellow journalists to maintain high standards. "It's a bottom line here. We can't stick our heads in the sand, and we can't be propagandists," he said. "We got to continue to call them like we see them. We got to continue covering politics as it is, not as we wish it were. Being a real political journalist isn't about building a brand. It's about simply reporting what's happening, explaining why it's happening, letting the public absorb the facts without judging them if they come to a different conclusion." Todd won 2 Emmys alongside his NBC colleague for their coverage of government bailouts during the recession in 2008 and of Chesley Sully Sullenberger's emergency landing on the Hudson in 2009. He ended his remarks with admiration for his former co-workers. "I don't leave here with anything but still in awe of all my colleagues here at NBC," he said. "I'm tempted to start thanking everybody that I've been with over the years, but then I'll leave somebody out and that'll feel wrong. At the end of the day, I got to work at the former home of David Brinkley, Tom Brokaw, and Tim Russert. To be honest, I still can't believe that I got to follow in those amazing footsteps. That alone is the honor of a lifetime."